get some reaction to that decision by Israel and cross to Amman and bring in Jonathan Fowler, spokesperson for UNRWA. Jonathan, thank you very much indeed for your time. So in terms of the reasons given, what exactly has Israel said?
Well, just for the context, I mean, what happened yesterday was that a group of municipal officials from Jerusalem municipality, accompanied by armed Israeli security forces, came into the schools and presented closure orders to the principals. The reasons they're giving, I mean, you know, these go in complete violation of Israel's obligations under international law. I want to emphasize that our schools are United Nations schools. They're protected by the privileges and immunities of the United Nations. And so they are inviolable. The issue here is that the Israeli authorities claim that since the end of January, when legislation passed by the Israeli parliament against UNRWA has been implemented, that these schools should not be operating. But I want to emphasize, our schools are not part of the Israeli system. We continue to have a mandate to operate in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, and our schools must be allowed to continue, period.
And it's going to affect hundreds of pupils if indeed these schools are closed. How does UNRWA intend to react?
Well, we are committed to continuing to fulfill our mandate and to staying and delivering. I mean, clearly this is an extremely tense and difficult situation, but I want to emphasize that, you know, we must be allowed to continue doing what we do. This is a matter of international law and respect for the principles and decisions of the United Nations General Assembly, the international community. We intend to continue for as long as we possibly can. Clearly, there is a huge concern for the fact that our 800 pupils in East Jerusalem may not be able to finish their school year. I mean, we're talking about depriving kids of their right to education. It's as simple as that.
And this does suggest that it's going to put you in further conflict with the Israeli government. How about the overall future of UNRWA, Jonathan? To what extent are you still able to operate in the region?
Well, clearly, it's the operating environment has been rendered more complex than it already was by this legislation. We have the specificity of the legislation regarding East Jerusalem, where there is an attempt to say that we are no longer allowed to operate. And beyond schooling, we also provide healthcare to 70,000 people in East Jerusalem, Palestine refugees, who are amongst the poorest members of the population and have no other alternative. You know, so there's a right to health issue there, as well as a sort of moral and humanitarian issue. Beyond that, we're also facing difficulties with another part of the legislation, which is banning contact between Israeli authorities and UNRWA. This creates problems for our operations in the West Bank and indeed in the Gaza Strip. And so it's like everywhere we look, you know, the risks are morphing to our work, but we continue to operate. We continue to have a mandate from the United Nations General Assembly, a mandate that we have held for more than 7 decades to do our work. And on that basis, we are committed to staying and delivering.
Jonathan, we really appreciate you joining us here on the News Hour. Thanks very much for your time. Jonathan Fowler there from UNRWA joining us from Jordan.